Hello and welcome to Gloves Off number 9, Race to the Finish. I'm your host, Chris ZX, along with two of my most trusty co-hosts ever, Koopa
Hello.
and ML.
Hi.
What's up, dudes?
Big chillin'.
Very
Same.
nice. Very nice.
Unemployment life, man.
Yeah, dude, I actually
Can't relate.
I like half can, half can't. It's sort of like the beauty of running your own business is like it feels like you're unemployed, but you're doing things as if you are employed. But like that's like I guess like the part to kind of like also if that makes sense.
I know what you mean,
But
I have health insurance.
yeah, can't relate.
And
Mr.
vacation
Moneybag
days.
over here.
Which
Nah,
is
I'm still flat broke. Please. I'm suffering.
turns to tears. But this is
Looks at-
actually
looks at my car payment for the month.
this is like kind of a depressingly good segue into what the topic is going to be today, as all of us in here have invested quite a bit of time and energy and work into basically developing, I guess what we could just call, I guess we'll just call it content, right? Content creation.
Yeah, content,
that's a good way
eSports,
to talk
production.
Yeah, it's a little bit elusive to define, but I guess to speak more plainly, MHG in general is this. I'm gonna start with this. I'm getting a little ahead of myself because I do want to introduce a topic, but just as like I guess as like a backdrop, Master Hand Gaming, kind of it is an esports company, but at the end of the day, it's not like traditional companies. And there's a few reasons why, in terms of like just overall like cash revenue and flow just isn't there. But in terms of like what's outputted, you can definitely call a company, and what's outputted is things like videos, tournaments, even this podcast here, all with their own sort of value, but not necessarily the type of value to basically say like, yep, this is my career and this works. And this was sort of what prompted the whole conversation today, because there was some news last week of Echo Fox sort of disbanding a couple teams, which kind of brought a whole ton of ideas to me. And I'm actually going to get that tweet on the screen, but I'm actually going to leave this one to ML. I guess so tell us a little bit about Rick Fox and sort of Echo Fox in general, and how it came to exist and like what it is.
Well, background for Rick Fox is that he's a former NBA player for the Lakers and Celtics. He won, I think, 2 or 3 rings with the Lakers in the early 2000s. He was part of that dynasty team, but never really like a star player or anything. So by the time he retired, he still made a ton of money in the NBA because the NBA is a cash machine, basically. And he was able to get into esports, and he started up Echo Fox, basically using part of his own name in the name of the company. And he's the founder, but another former NBA player that Koopa knows is Jared Jeffries. Not knows personally, but knows of.
Nah,
And
we're actually best friends.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
That second stint with the Knicks, all me.
Yeah, you're all over that, man. The Knicks. But yeah, so they basically, I guess, I don't know if Jared Jeffries is a co-founder, but Rick Fox started up the company, and Jared Jeffries is the president of Echo Fox, and they basically were able to become basically a tier 1 esports team with like not too much support early on, because they were able to get guys like Mewtwo King early on. They eventually picked up NK Leo. They had Call of Duty and Gears of War. They have Sonic Fox, so they're able to get some of these amazing players for basically a team that's only been around for about, I'd say, like 3-4 years, maybe. So it's pretty impressive what they've done in esports.
Yeah.
Also, more trivia about Rick Fox. He placed 6th place on a season of Dancing with the Stars.
That's actually that's a credential these days. I'll give it to him.
Came in 2nd place on an episode of Chopped.
Dude, that's
So,
like
The cooking
yeah.
show?
Yeah.
Nice.
unrelated.
I do like Chopped.
Yeah, he made it to the dessert round, man. That's impressive.
That is impressive. It's kind of cool when you think about that. Like, just like this is a guy who was competitive in the NBA, which means he was involved in a sport his whole life. Even goes on a dancing show, something physically demanding. Places, goes on a cooking show, something competitive. Gets to the dessert round. Like, that's pretty cool, man. I respect it.
Yeah, Rick Fox is like notoriously. I'll call him carried because he's got like a pretty good like. Not even just talk about esports, because like if you look at what Echo Fox was when it kind of came in to esports in 2015, to where it is now, or to like where he transitioned from his NBA career, because he started in the late 90s with the Celtics, and then he spent the later half of his career with the Lakers, who are like two of the most storied franchises in the NBA. He went to UNC, so he's basically just been carried his entire his basketball life for the most part.
Yeah.
But
well, in either case, he is like the whole reason we're talking about him is because of that tweet that I did just have up earlier on the screen. I'm going to put it back up there. Essentially, Echo Fox, who is invested in quite a few esports teams with the mission statement essentially to be the best in the world in esports, in terms of just like winningest and just best overall skill wise, that being the goal, where they find themselves now having to drop a couple teams, including Call of Duty and Gears of War, and also releasing some of the fighting game and other select players, according to the tweet. And then it continues to say that these moves will allow us to focus our time and resources on continued development of the remaining rosters, ensuring that we can deliver on the expectations of our fans, our players, and the rest of the Echo Fox family, which is a pretty big statement. So you have probably one of the leaders in terms of, I guess I'll just call it liquid capital, which would be cash, essentially releasing some teams that are of esports that, while they might have the best players, the esport themselves does just not have the interest involved to really warrant having the best players in those communities. Again, specifically where Call of Duty and Gears of War. I do kind of see the Call of Duty thing maybe coming back with the release of a new game, but something like Gears of War, which does have a ton of support by Microsoft and the Epic team, or I guess it's not Epic anymore because they're Fortnite. I forget who makes Gears of War now. But in either case, these are games that, like, despite all the heavy support and money around them, they don't really have legs as far as the community goes at all.
Yeah, that's like the kind of opposite. We were talking about it earlier. The opposite of what Smash has, where they have all the support. The developers like, go to these things. We're going to put money into it. We're going to put time and effort with Call of Duty, Gears, Battlefield, all this stuff. They're putting all this money into it. And then the community support's kind of like, cool. And basically, they don't have this thing that Smash has where it's a low level. Because with Call of Duty and Gears, you got to have the teams. And if you're just a bunch of ragtag kids going to play COD against some pro team that practices all the time, you're going to get your asses whooped and you're not getting any money. So it kind of deters people from trying to become pro at COD or Gears because there's just not that insane promise of money unless you're on a team, which takes a lot more time than an individual game or a fighting game, I should say, like Smash or Tekken or Street Fighter or Dragon Ball now. So the thing with the fighting game division that they want to focus more on is that they can bring up really talented individuals, not have to worry about paying a whole team, which is that big money saving thing that they probably want to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also to bring up something you mentioned earlier, Chris, Epic Games does still currently develop Gears, so you were correct with that. I did fact check you. You pass.
All right, good. I know that they used to make it, but then I know there was like a little bit of change at one point.
Yeah, I think it's like it's them and the coalition that like co-develop it now or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny because we talked about this like I think it was last month or the month before that with our with the sponsorship episode, how Echo Fox is kind of doing it right by not only having a handful of players that are really good at their respective games, but also having names that you'd recognize. And now it's kind of interesting to see the 180 change, how they're kind of dropping weight with that. Because as like you said, obviously the the Gears team has been dropped, and I think Punk was the only like big name player that I recognize that was dropped from the fighting game division. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, it's definitely interesting how things are shifting. And Anti actually made a really good tweet about this, saying how there's way too many players that are getting overpaid with their respective teams. So if you're trying to get sponsored in like, the newer age, or like as esports continues to develop for both Smash and in general, you're going to have to bring something else to the table other than the fact that you're really good at this respective video game.
Yeah, that's true. That's just not enough anymore. And the reason is because when you just think about like intrinsic values and exchanges of anything, like if you expect a big audience, like things like the NFL or like Major League Baseball or National Hockey League, all these professional sports, the foundation is essentially being the best of the best, but then that best of the best includes like physical feats that the average person doesn't really kind of have. And you'll be able to see those within the actual games themselves. Like when you see like a linebacker take out a quarterback, you're like, wow, no wonder this person's in the NFL. That looked like a really hard hit. And when you see like Aaron Rodgers throw like a 70-yard touchdown, you're just like, wow, what an incredible arm. Only the best of the best could have done that pass. You know what I mean? And you could physically see the reasons why. So there's kind of like a value there for anyone watching. Whereas like video games, like unless you really know the video game, you might not notice like the really specific amazing things about that. So it's just like the intrinsic value of what you get from just having the best of the best in gaming isn't quite there yet. So that kind of leaves you with a couple things to work with. And a big part of this conversation that I'm going to open up now is basically like time and money spent on eSports. Because if you are the best of the best, you can go to like a big tournament and you could basically count on winning. If you're of a top level, like someone like MKLeo or Mewtwo King, those guys could expect to win tournaments and essentially like they'll win the money that's attached. And it kind of takes money to get more players there within advertising and pot bonuses and all the things that essentially add to a tournament. And then, like, if you win, you get that money, but otherwise, that money doesn't really touch anyone else. So there's really no value outside of like the tippy top of the player base that really gets a taste of that. So then, like, I guess the big question is like, how else do you really invest in the scene outside of money, right? That essentially is what it turns into.
Yeah, like you have to kind of bring something else to the table. It's like what I brought up a couple of weeks ago, where like it's the you have the triangle of like you can be a top content creator, a top player, or a top streamer, but you can do 2 to 3, but you can't be all 3. So as like you see these teams moving forward, you're gonna have to see a lot more of this this other side of players on the like outside of just them playing the game well. And also, Krallis brought up them Emoji and Choco Blanca got dropped also. They're Street Fighter players, also married, so you know they're still winning at life. But
yeah, it's kind of interesting for me because I know that I think it was ML mentioned just earlier where if you're someone who's interested in esports and you want to sort of make a name for yourself and you want to make a brand, there really isn't much for you to offer outside of bulk money or prizes or stuff like that other than like your time, which is also an investment. Like time and money, respectively, are like the one even exchanges everyone on this earth has. Like perceived time is the same for every individual. You have a finite amount and you can invest it doing any number of things, whether it be going to a tournament, watching a tournament, organizing one, streaming one, you know, making content from one, are all ways you could spend your time. Or you could spend your money, which would essentially also include things like going to tournaments or maybe donating towards compendiums, which we had a whole episode just on that, and crowdfunding. And overall, like those are the resources that essentially make things go. So if you're a new organizer and you see something like Smash where the barrier to entry is mostly just being able to put in like sweat equity, which is essentially not money but effort put towards creating something, then it's a little bit more appealing. But there isn't really like a connect yet between a big time event, or I'm sorry, like a big time like company or event or series, and like your local sort of TO or streamer or even player at that point. There's just no real connection yet.
Yeah, at the lower level, especially, all that time that you put into it and you want to get money out of it, that money kind of just funnels in from like a local community. Like for MHG, all that money that comes in is all the local community because there's unfortunately no sponsorships yet. But then when you get up and up and up, you get the 2GGs where they partner with someone for a tournament like the Noodles and the Jelly Bean one. The Bean
Oh yeah, dude.
They get those sponsors because they put in all that time. They started hosting all these big events, and now they're starting to see kind of the money return into it because they're showing off like, hey, we put this product out here and a lot of people like it. So if you pay us, we'll advertise your product. And eventually that's kind of how you have to grow from there. And of course, all these people in the comments, whenever there's always an ad, it's always sell out, sell out, sell out. But if they don't, it's not even selling out, but if they don't quote sell out, then they won't be able to bring that stream to you anymore. That's what people need to understand. Because as esports gets bigger and bigger, there's going to be a lot more ad deals. There's going to be a lot more money put into the scene. Even if you don't like the ads, if there's no ads, there's no content, which is something a lot of people need to start being able to realize when events get bigger and streams get bigger and people get more and more well known and money flows in.
Yeah, because that money can go to a lot of places. There's a lot of things that actually kind of happen in terms of making a tournament occur. And those things is like, well, actually, before I go into those things, let me just note that there are a lot of esports companies currently, and some of them are built on sweat equity, much like Master Hand Gaming, or kind of just built on meritocracy. Like if you're a good commentator or caster, like, basically both of you guys in this call, you get the opportunity to basically cast all of the good things and good events that eventually will get attention down the road. So it's like not only are you investing in like your actual like attention and casting of the game, like you're also like essentially putting on that presentation for people who either are looking in from the outside or looking to just become a part of it. So it basically like you are the type of people that would essentially warrant a salary. Would there be enough money within one company to pay the people doing this stuff? Being you or even myself, I take a pretty active role in this as a streamer and overall just like doing a lot of production and graphic design, basically doing most of it. And it's mostly because I'm a hands-on person who likes doing the work. But like in an ideal world, if I'm running a business, I'm not doing these things. I'm paying for these things. And they're basically the tasks are being given to people that can not only handle them, but can excel at them. Because currently, like with the amount of esports teams and companies and stuff out there, they all offer something a little different. Some of them offer equipment, whether that be streaming equipment, whether that be like systems or even just a venue. All of that stuff costs money. And then like when you are in the event of a company that is offering equipment, you have people to set them up, and then like if you're a production company, which is much like what I'm building Master Hand to be, then like you're essentially you're paying people to do things like cast or make content and everything related to that. So there's a lot of places for money to go, but as we know it now, the most common route is essentially a salary for a player, which is kind of like a single track in my mind, and something that I think will essentially suffer without everything else I just mentioned being kind of grown with it.
Yeah, if the scale tips too far in one direction, then it's going to throw the whole thing out of balance. And I do want to bring up something that Matt brought up earlier with the whole brand sponsorship things, like with Cup of Noodles and the Jelly Bean stuff. That's actually something I feel like we're going to see a lot more of moving forward. Because I think wasn't there just that big like Nickelodeon sponsored event that just happened in California last weekend or something like that?
It's called Shell Shock.
Yeah, it was like
TMNT thing that they had.
Yeah, like I feel like stuff like that's gonna be like a lot more prevalent moving forward. Like because like obviously the hardest part for Smash is that there isn't a lot of developer support, which is weird because you brought this up off stream, Chris. Whereas like the two big games that Echo Fox drops are games that have a lot of dev support. So it looks kind of counterproductive, but at the same time, if these brand opportunities keep coming through, like I can't tell you the last time I purchased a Red Bull, because the only time I drink Red Bull is when I go to events, because Red Bull sponsors everything. Like it's crazy. So I feel like as we move forward and like as we're trying to find our footing in this great big world of esports, moving into a big game like Ultimate, then I feel like brand stuff is going to be much more popular to kind of to make up for the lack of equity that some other teams might not have.
So that raises probably an interesting topic to move towards now, where essentially is like what the Smash scene runs like now. And as you mentioned, the sponsors, those are things that make events tick, even things like 2GG, which is one of the more popular Smash streams and content creators out in California. And they do have a couple sponsors in their events. It's sort of funny. We talked about this last week with the other platform fighting podcast, where basically those events, they had about the same amount of entrants, actually less than some of the New Jersey events, but like the attention there, even from a viewership standpoint, was way bigger than most New Jersey events. Whereas I think New Jersey attendance was like double that of like 2GGs for like the past couple weeks, which is which says a lot to me. So it's like you have the brands that do the talking and sort of pay some of the bills, so to speak. But in my mind, it comes to a bigger question to like where is the value coming from? What is the real exchange happening? Because if you have all this work going out and it's all going towards creating new things and good content in a community and a scene, there is definitely a value in that, but maybe not enough to really warrant like a good cash payout. But that cash payout comes when an advertiser basically picks you up or decides like, oh, this is something that an audience can grip to, and an audience will be able to be exposed to the product that I have that might relate to them. Not that like that's not a bad thing at all. It's just like that's sort of what we're at the whim of. So even now, how things run, I mentioned this a little bit. Like you have all these people sort of included in an event, and depending on how big the event is, the list of people involved grows. So even when you scale up something, like let's just say your smallest event, you have 20 entrants, you're charging 10 at the door. That's $200 in venue fees. Assuming like you don't have to pay the venue, which a lot of times you do. Like that's $200 to work with to split between like the organizers, the streamers if you have one, and pretty much anyone else or any additions you want to make to your like whether it be like buying new systems or anything else. Like it's a pretty slim margin. But as you grow the number, or I'm sorry, as you grow the event and thus like the venue fee, then you could not only pay people a few more dollars, but you could pay for more things, whether it be a bigger quantity of casters or a larger pot bonus to attract people to come to your event or anything like that. So like it's stretched pretty thin, but I do think that as the value does grow and the attention of just everything grows, that like it does warrant some more of like a financial return outside of the sponsors. Or I'd like to think so anyways.
Yeah, I just think the problem with trying to get all this money from just the local source is that a lot of smashers are just broke. It's a young audience in general. Yeah, we've seen some broke boys before. I've seen some broke boy actions before, but that's just the main problem. And
it's true.
The only thing that'll really solve it is outside support coming in, because unless we start raising the prices to like 20 venue, 20 entry, then everyone's just gonna go broke at that point. So you can't really do that.
So I definitely lived off of 7-Eleven reward points for one tournament one weekend. I will not disclose when this happened for my safety, but it was nothing but free coffee and donuts for about 3 straight days. So we out here.
So I do think though that this does translate though. So as I mentioned earlier, you have time and you have money. You could invest in both. They're both equal exchanges. The one thing that you do get, where if you are investing in a scene with effort or that, like if you're not getting money, then that essentially makes you an investor now in your scene. You are now investing in the well-being and the overall presentation of your scene if you were doing basically anything else that would otherwise warrant money, because as you scale up, I did mention that roles would have to be paid for. Things like content creation or casting, whatever, all of those examples. Like essentially like your time is your money. There's even kind of a scale there. So like if you're spending time doing that thing and you're not getting paid, like that's an investment, you know? So I do think though that like there's a way to basically like within all of that, you essentially get things like I guess we'll quantify time as like attention, focus, and engagement. Whereas like if you have someone's attention, that could be anything from like that includes their attendance or just like knowing your tournaments exist. But then if you have their focus, that's basically people like watching and following your content, and then people actually engaged, which then becomes like an interaction via comments, working in the chat, anything like that. Like that's essentially how you get paid in time. And then within that time, that's what picks up sponsors. So it really does come down to even like a viewer having a lot of control over where a lot of the attention goes, because like any sponsor is going to just follow essentially the most prevalent and popular communities. So like there is definitely a way that people can sort of use their investing powers, even if you are just someone who attends tournaments, or maybe you just organize a couple of tournaments here and there, to basically contribute towards funneling the attention to a place where maybe a sponsorship could get picked up.
Yeah, it's as someone that's kind of been like around the block a couple of times since like the games came out, I'm definitely saying the money's there, but it's definitely I've gone positive more than I've gone negative, to say more or less, but there's obviously still a lot of room to grow because you still have these problems where, you know, tournament places have to cut costs. I agree. Yeah. There's just a lot of room to grow here, and obviously as the game grows bigger for developer support, it's definitely going to make a big difference.
So yeah, and I do think that part of that sponsorship, I kind of had this thought where, like, what if, let's just say we did want to grow out regions here. Like, let's just say, like, you wanted to grow out statewide regions and not, like, the Smash regions we've created just for the sake of simplicity here. Like, Nintendo could theoretically, they could do their legwork and say, okay, within this area, we see a lot of activity between these couple organizations. And then you essentially make, like, brand ambassadors like that. So, like, where you essentially allocate a sort of, like, salary of sorts to whatever company is essentially creating the content around their game, being Smash Brothers in this very particular case. So then that way, like, essentially the brand ambassador money goes a little bit towards, like, developing what their game is founded on, if that makes sense. I don't think it'll ever work like that, really, but I always thought that would be kind of a cool solution.
Yeah, I don't think Nintendo really, they would choose to work like that unless they see how much money will eventually come in if Ultimate is successful and builds off the success that Smash 4 put on, because Smash 4 generated a lot of mainstream interest in Smash. Again, that's something that hasn't really happened before, but they kind of built off of even Melee's success, because Melee is way bigger than Smash 4. It has that appeal because everyone played it as a kid. So now when they see these guys, these top level pros playing it again, they're like, oh, I can do that. And then eventually they'll start putting their money in. They'll start investing their time, their money, their energy, all that stuff into it. And then eventually that helps the community grow, and then multiply that tenfold when Ultimate comes out, if that is the case with Ultimate, which I hope it is, because I really want this to be a big deal. Make esports mainstream and make all this time and money that we invested pay off eventually.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to go to where the attention's at. So off the bat, like things like 2GG and VG Bootcamp already kind of doctored in, but I think for like mass expansion, there's definitely like a lot of work that is going on, I think, that could actually handle that, but I think it's a little bit too spread out personally. But like, yeah, growing an audience is is a whole new ball game, and developer support can only will definitely help that, But
yeah.
Let's see here. Just checking out these notes. Yeah,
pay me, please.
But yeah, basically, pay me, please. But...
I do want to add something to that. I think something that there's so much. I listen to the High Percent podcast with DM Brendan and Coney all the time, other fantastic podcasts, and they brought up a point where more players need to start doing kind of start using their leverage more, being like, hey, like I think they brought up something along the lines of appearance fees, which I think might be a little too steep because tournaments usually end up going negative anyway. But they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll do this. I'll play X amount of my matches on stream. I'll create content about your tournament, because something that I really enjoy is something like along the lines of what Esam does, where he'll go to an event, he'll stream, and then he'll like do a wrap up video about the event and talk about it. And I feel like there's just so much untapped resources in regards to just creating your own content about the events. Like I said, to just keep making up for the fact that there's not always going to be like greener pastures on the other side of this once we're all said and done.
Yeah, well, that all comes with building one big thing, which I think would be really the way to go. But getting everyone to agree, especially in a community like this that is kind of grassroots and gets a little territorial, is difficult. There's a lot of boundaries that would have to be broken down.
Just like Elon Musk said, we need to build a mech.
Yeah, dude. Let's do it.
Build a mech.
Made of money.
Build it. Money mech.
But
if you build it, they will play on stream.
But also with that whole grassroots rivalry thing that kind of happens, I mean, it's kind of been like that. There are players that I won't name that say to not go to this X tournament because they don't like it. And that's really, really bad for a scene that wants to grow, especially if said event that you're trying to not promote is growing rapidly and is getting lots of really good players, and you start telling people, hey, don't go to this, and you have a lot of reach, people are going to start listening to you, and that's really, really hindering to a scene's growth. So hopefully we can cut out that petty stuff in the future, because that's really bad for the growth of a scene if you tell people not to go to things and it's the only big thing around you. But also, it'd be really good in the future if, say, a big stream like Xanadu or 2GG they kind of say, hey, watch this stream. It's part of our region, and they're not as big, but they host a good event. And then eventually everyone prospers because I wouldn't say free advertising, but it basically is free advertising. If 2GG says, hey, watch Fire and Dice down there running their tournament. Or if Xanadu was like, hey, watch The Cave here in Fairfax, Virginia, because they put on a good tournament every week. Yeah. So something like that, even they have the reach, they have the ability. If someone like Gimmer says to watch MHG, people are going to watch MHG. That's kind of just how it works. Or if Nairo, he's done a lot for MHG recently with hosting and donating money to the pot. So Nairo has that reach where he could say, hey guys, I'm putting money here and I'm going to be here today. I'm playing here today. And then people will watch it. So it's kind of like more people at the top, they have the power to really influence how a lot of the smaller streamers or mid-level streamers get up there, or any other tournament player, caster, whatever they want to promote. They have a lot of power that I feel like they don't really use a lot.
I feel like they might if they just kind of knew in the right direction. Right now, the whole thing is like a social media game, and a lot of people spend their time and energy on that, where it's like you try to get like clout for, I don't know, somehow it translates to profit, I think people think, but
memes, baby.
Yeah.
but
you got to pay the meme tax.
but that's sort of, I think, part of the issue, because I think if there was a little more incentive for that, and I think if there was like a little bit more proven formula, which I think is something that is being worked on by everyone who's trying to do Smash tournaments now in general, like it just unfortunately can't be that easy. I do think though that like things like promoting other streamers and things like promoting other regions or even people in your same region, like the bigger the player base grows, the more everybody wins. So there's really kind of no reason not to do that, in my mind anyways. Because like if I'm helping New York scene grow, like maybe there's someone in way North Jersey that can't quite make a normal MHG events, and then like they find out about Xeno from me, they're going to start going to Xeno, and then guess what's going to happen? Should I ever get another event with MHG or someone else, or even just like have another MHG event where that one person who lives way up north might just be like, oh, wow, I'm really into these Smash tournaments now. I think I'll travel another hour down south. Like, that's worth it to me. That's like a long haul ad. You know what I mean? So it's like if the population grows, then it works. And speaking of which, I do want to start moving on to like some like more result stuff. Something like speaking of sponsorships and sort of hosting events and clout and money and stuff. There was a Rutgers event this weekend called Scarlet Smackdown, which was essentially a CSL event, which for anyone who doesn't know CSL, that is Collegiate Starleague, who essentially helps fuel college eSport competitions, mostly in the form of like prize bonuses. And that basically keeps it interesting to college students who might not be the best at the game, but they're able to triumph against other people who are also not quite the best at the game. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's college level. Which makes sense.
It's like Barstool Blackout, but for esports.
Right.
I guess.
Dated reference.
But like so something like that, and that's like a whole nother company, right? Because then you have like, okay, so you have like your MHGs, your House of 3000s, whatever, based on like local growth and making local player pool. But then you have like a whole nother league that's basically just for college kids, and essentially the big interest for college kids, if you're not going to be the best, is obviously going to be money, because anytime you bring up college, there's always a money discussion, because
don't get me started.
It costs a ton. People are looking for scholarships. If you're going to school, chances are you might not have a job, so you're just looking for money. It just makes it more interesting. So like
war flashbacks.
Yeah, dude. So like there is definitely an interest in that, but like it's funny. There's so many different formulas for like esports companies. You know.
What's the most expensive textbook you guys ever bought in college?
Well, I think the one I bought was like $250, but it came with a code that I had to use online. So I was basically paying for the code.
And that's crazy.
I think mine was like it was like $180 like art textbook that is now a table ornament in my living room.
You didn't even
haven't opened it once.
You didn't even get that cell back, did you? Or you still have the class? Damn. Feels bad, man.
Shout out to Intro to Art. Easiest day of my life. Never opened a book once.
Oh man, yeah, dude.
Those are the worst, man.
This is like a whole nother topic of just like, speaking of time and money, the amount of time that you spend in college for like the absorbent amount of money you pay for it, only to end up trying to skip the classes that you're paying for. Like, What's wrong with this picture? To get a job, like whatever. I'm not. This is a thing to not bring up right now.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna break out into hives if we keep talking about this. Let's keep the train
but
moving.
yeah, speaking of college, speaking of esports, CSL Collegiate Esports. Let's get it. There was a tournament this weekend, which was in Rutgers. Came together a little last minute, but the idea was there and the intention was definitely there because it was CSL sponsored, which has actually Max Ketchum for anyone who is well versed in Smash Bros. Attached to it. And I guess like the main appeal of this tournament was the crew battles because that's like the college format they're trying to do. And for anyone curious, Rutgers Team A was the winner, which actually.
I was gonna say there's probably so many people that we know that go to Rutgers that they were probably able to split up the crew amongst multiple people.
Yeah, they did.
They do have an and A team and B team basically.
Yeah.
B team is like the JV squad essentially.
Basically,
Yeah, I'd be tight. That'd cause so much beef amongst my friend groups. It's like, wait, bro, you think I'm JV? Do you know who I am?
Essentially, I don't even know who the A team is besides Pazda because he's obviously on the screen.
yeah, it was who was it? It was Pazda. Jeez, man. Kugi.
Kugi, yeah, that's another one.
Grandpaster J, not Black Tiger. A couple other.
He goes to Rutgers though, right?
He does. Yeah, but like, so they basically like, so there was 2 Rutgers teams, and then there's like, excuse me, a Rutgers Camden team. So like they were basically 3/5 of the bracket. It was a round robin bracket.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was gonna.
The bracket of Rutgers, but I know the Rutgers Camden guys. Some of them are pretty decent. They've come to Rowan before.
They're good, man. And like what I was gonna point out is and Hypest Town, he's on Rutgers Team A. Dude's good. He's a Wario man.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
But like the cool part is about this whole thing is these are actually, especially the Rutgers guys, a lot of them are people you would recognize who have been on like not even just MHG streams, but like other streams too. Like they're regular players in the scene, but they're obviously just still in college to where they could be eligible for a college crew battle. And like even this crew battle on right now, which was NJIT and Rutgers A, this was like a really good like crew battle. I think it came down to like last stock or two. It was pretty exciting. I had like even Delta, who's on the screen now, who's like very close to being like on the PR himself, like constantly in 5th or better place at events.
Are you sure? Wait, are we watching the same thing? Because I just saw Christmas on stream.
Oh, you might be a little behind.
Yeah, I think, you are.
I got to
Okay,
figure
never
out the
mind.
screen share for you guys. So
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
My stream paused, so I'm probably just behind.
Yeah, so it's like, but in either case, like, so you get some of these guys, and it actually, like, you do start to see a picture, because now you're getting the bridge between the college and the local events, which I think is great, personally. And it's to no one's surprise that, like, this event, even though it was supposed to be kind of crew battle centric, all the interest went to singles, naturally. And that's because, like, it was a pretty good turnout. It was 91 entrants, and money added to your bracket will always help with that. Because in singles, we did get to see the usual guys we get to see. We got to see the likes of Angel Cortez. We got to see the likes of Jackal, Jack, Unknown, all these PR guys. We got to see some in New York. Jen was there. Ended up being like a pretty good day over there. I'm actually just in the midst of getting the results up on the screen. So
Yeah. The one thing I would like to say is that I've talked to a couple of people that go to Rutgers and like are involved with the esports stuff, and they're trying really hard to be like one of like the biggest schools for esports, and I think they're doing a really good job of that because I've been to like other tournaments. I've been to tournaments that have like bigger budgets that are like run less like nicely than that, and I think it was the Scarlet Classic or whatever it was.
That was back in like April.
Yeah, like that event was crazy, considering everything that was there between like Overwatch and CS:GO and all that stuff. Like the esports at Rutgers is like almost on par with the actual sports as we see Jackal get erased.
Dude, that was Angels Bayo. I just ran it back so you guys could watch that again. That was Angels Bayo, 2 stocking Jackal for a game, like off the right platform.
Angels Bayo is kind of crusty.
Dude, it's so crusty.
It wasn't crusty there.
It's mad Hispanic.
Not there, it wasn't.
No, it was really clean there, and Jackal's just like, oh, okay. I mean, Jackal. Before we digress too much, Jackal didn't end up winning this tournament, by the way. For anyone watching, I'm still getting the results. My mistake.
From losers, which is crazy.
Yeah, he won it from losers, and he actually He did it really
lost to
convincingly.
Unknown.
Like, he lost to Unknown in like a pretty close set, but like he mostly just ran through his loser's end, which is not surprising, and he kind of just handled Angel. And I also think that like this grand finals that we got to watch, since James doesn't really compete as much anymore, this really does feel like a passing of the torch from like the old guard to the new. Like, kind of a convincing win. Angel obviously still though coming up in runners up. Like, it's kind of what was to be expected in my mind.
Yeah, I see it on the. I mean, it's been teasing me on the screen all afternoon. Obviously, we see that other topic panel there, but we're still in the twilight. And for my 9th straight podcast in a row, gonna bring up the fact that Ultimate's right around the corner.
50 days, baby.
Yeah, whoa, that's fucking crazy. Can we talk about how fast that's like?
Dude, remember watching the that direct with all that was back in June, that reveal trailer thing?
The Inkling trailer came out in March. It's just like, and now it's like
October, man.
Yep.
We're already past the halfway mark of October.
And just
it's almost Thanksgiving.
And there's been even just so much that happens in between then, outside of just waiting for the game to happen. Like even locally, like there's just been some pushes in some areas, some in not other areas. There are players that are actually still looking to be the best at 4 before the game goes out, and then there's players that have kind of just packed it in. It's kind of an interesting time, and I think this is going to be sort of like a defining time before Ultimate. This is sort of like what's going to separate, I think, like who emerges and who doesn't right off the bat. But speaking of which, Jack asserting himself as like a pretty clear contender. Like, he's been pretty consistent results. He was 5th this week at Scarlet Smackdown. But he was double eliminated by Unknown, who had a pretty decent tournament. Didn't lose to anyone he was supposed to lose to, like aka Jack, but also kind of had bad losses against people that he probably could have beaten.
I would have considered. I would have considered.
Jen's not really.
Yeah. No. Jen's it's a good loss. I'm just saying. I think it was like a 3-0, like sort of.
Yeah.
Kind of got.
Yeah,
Jen
did give him the hands.
That's mostly what I'm alluding at. Not like bad loss at all.
Yeah. But when Jen feels like turning it on, he's like a really good player, and it shows because he's been like consistently top 10 in a very hard region to get power ranked in.
Yep.
So. And I do want to give kudos to Brian too, because Brian tends to has a tendency to bust her out and like eat shit every couple of weeks. But he's like playing on point. He's like very, very good at what he does.
Yeah, he played really well this weekend. But also you'll notice is Odyssey getting 5th place after Odyssey's been like a top 3 player in a lot of tournaments he's been attending. Mostly
he came to fucking Stock Exchange, flexed with his girlfriend, and then took all our money and left.
Yeah, he beat Angel. Like, remember he was using his Mario on him. Like, he was just kind of like styling on him.
Didn't he beat him?
But
he beat him twice, right?
Yeah, but he lost to him actually at Scarlet Smackdown, which I guess technically is the more important tournament, since it's more of like it's not a monthly. It's like that step up. But in either case, like, yeah, dude, he lost to him, and then he lost to Jackal, and probably Jackal's closest set of the day in losers quarters, which is why he ended up at 5th. Because Jackal ended up in losers back in like winners quarters, so like he had a few matches. So that is definitely a tough loss. And one other thing I wanted to point out is actually, before we get to that, let's jump to Spectrum, because I wanted to point out some new names that we're starting to see pop up in top 8. One of them was actually Hayes, who got 7th this past week. And Hayes is like a name you'll see pop up in New Jersey brackets. And like, you don't really think much of it, just a regular attendee. But like, he actually ended up getting 7th at Scarlet Smackdown, and he got 7th at Spectrum a couple days ago.
I was going to say, I normally see him in that Spectrum bracket, usually around like the 7th to like 13th kind of area. So I was actually surprised to see him in that top 8.
He had good wins too. I believe. Hold on, I have to go back and check that. But I believe he
did he beat Law, I think.
Hold on. I think I have this written down actually, or do I not?
I can't really remember the bracket.
Let me see here. Oh yeah, so I have his losses. So he lost to Jackal and he lost to Jen at Scarlet Smackdown, which is very respectable. Those are two like
he lost the 1st and 3rd to get 7th.
Yeah. So I mean, and yeah, I do believe he beat Law. So it's like that's pretty good, man. That's like a pretty good day. But in either case, right. So here's the Spectrum event. So he did end up getting, opening the tweets, 7th there, and then you'll see a couple other names. Like we've been seeing Steezy pretty regularly, who is a Spectrum regular, but like he's like consistently placing now. and then even like Leon and like Lemon Tea. Lemon Tea has been pretty solid for a while, but I guess what I'm getting at is it's just kind of cool to start seeing some newer names pop in, even albeit at the end of Smash 4's lifespan. Yeah, there we go. There's the results. But then outside of that, the top three, nothing new there. Like you'll see Gons sitting at first of Spectrum, which I do want to make a note of this. Gons actually lost to KGP pretty early in the Scarlet Smackdown bracket. Like big upset.
Yeah, it was a 2-1. I remember looking at the bracket and I was like, he's finally on the board, man. Got one in the win column because he's come close. When I would still be a thing, he would come close to beating Gons a couple times, like every other week, and he just was never able to finish it off. But at the Scarlet Smackdown, he finally did it. I was pretty happy for him.
Yeah, dude, and I know
he's been trying for such a long time.
I tried one of his brownies for the first time. Dude, it's pretty incredible. He cooks brownies on top of like cookie dough and then puts Oreos in between the cookie dough and the brownie. Like,
dude, they're dangerous. They're good.
They're so good. This is the first time I've ever had them. Incredible, man. But I will say to Gons' credit, though, Gons did get his revenge. He took out KGP in winners' quarters of the Spectrum bracket, and I think he double eliminated him from the break just the other day. So I guess order is restored or something.
Yeah, so you're not going to get another one. Everybody gets one.
Yeah,
the real strategy for these tournaments to get their monies back is to just have KGP sell brownies on the floor at everything for them.
Dude, yeah.
That's his investment, man. We were talking about time and money, man. He's putting in time and money with those brownies.
Dude, and he's charging he's charging a bit of like a premium for the brownies at $250, but I got to tell you, with the effort that goes in and the ingredients, like
they come with the cookies and everything.
He's splurging, dude. He's buying packs of Oreos, putting it in there, like.
See, some people,
it's a hustle.
Everybody has a niche in a community. Some people TO, some people commentate, some people sell baked goods, like
actual baked goods. No funny goods here.
Yeah, not just Chips Ahoy or something.
Yeah, like actual like effort. I'm gonna cook this up the night before. Like, it was pretty good, man. I always thought it was cool, but until I finally tried it, I'm just like, wow, good. That's
awesome.
My
guy. Shout out to KGP.
Yeah. Eventually, he's got to get like those specialty Oreos and just
oh my god,
charge
dude.
the big time premium for those
Bro,
ones, like the mint ones or the peanut butter ones.
No, give me the double chocolate ones, and I'll fucking nut right now.
All right. Well, speaking of nutting and nuts, I am gonna jump. I'm gonna, dude. This is such.
I know exactly.
Trust me. This is a good one. We're gonna jump to New York, where Diddy Kong Main has a 3 Xeno win streak.
Ooh, looking like Shoyo James.
Dude. And let me just add that those win streaks are all 3 of them taking out Venia in grands. Like, that's not like an easy win. Venia's a nut too. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah. More nuts.
He doesn't play a character that shoots peanuts, but like he's pretty nuts just in general.
But Tish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That man Venia is wild. He's moving all over the place. There's like that it used to be his pin tweet for a while. This clip where he's like, "Here's how to move without using the shield button," and it's just him maneuvering around in a 2v1 situation where he's the last guy. And I don't know if he wins it or not because the clip cuts off, but he's like, he does take out a player to make it a 1v1. I think it was Bankai. Actually.
Dude, he's crazy good. Like, fun to watch because I remember back in what's it called? The what was that invitational? The Tristate Invitational.
The Players Ball.
Yes, that one. Like, he had some good wins there. He actually beat Nairo, didn't he?
Yeah, the second best player in the world. Yep. He came in and beat him. I think.
Yeah, like dude, and like he kind of had him reeling a little bit. Like he beat him. Like, actually.
Yeah, he's mad good. This is one of those cases where if he had the means to travel more, he would be able to put in obviously be able to showcase that more, but such is the life. And obviously looking at the screen right here, filling out the rest of the top 8, some usual faces you see. Shout out to Nintunis, who tied with the guy that he beat in winner's bracket in Ralphie. He had Nintunis is someone who was like in just lifting up the curtain slightly, but a couple of seasons ago, he was like right on the cusp of making on the PR. Like, he had a win on Dill and Angel. Like, he had a lot of really good wins. Just didn't really
not just a commentator.
So. Well,
yeah. When he decides to like put it all together and like not think with like not if he decides to plug the toaster into the wall and not into a potato, then he's really really smart and like It's,
I mean,
it's definitely it shows sometimes.
potatoes can be used to conduct electricity, by the way. But outside of that,
Don't give me that. Just give me the Scientology bullshit. Come on, man.
but before you go too much on that, I just realized the brackets look similar from week to week. That was actually 2 weeks ago bracket, because if you look at this bracket, it's very, very similar. Both of which have included not only Dill and Venya at 1 and 2.
That's right. I forgot that was last week.
Frozen getting 5th, I believe, also was 2 weeks in a row. I might have that wrong, but in either case, Frozen consistent in there, and then Vivi. He's actually the past 3 weeks, man, been top 8, looking pretty sharp. He was 4th this past week. And he, for anyone unfamiliar, he's a Lucario main, so pretty terrifying to come across.
Yeah, he's been on the come up too these past couple of months. I keep seeing him in that losers semis, losers quarters.
That's what I'm saying.
Range.
Yeah, past 3 weeks, man.
Like every couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Vivi's a pretty good player. He's not PR'd, not ranked, but he keeps playing like he's ranked.
Yeah, he's coming out. He was 5th 3 weeks ago. He was 4th yesterday. And then so like Frozen, like I said, he has 2 strong weeks where he's coming in at top 8. I think 4th last week, 5th this week. So it's as random and crazy as Xeno can get. There's definitely some regularity that I'm starting to see there. But
sometimes that 5th through 7th spot, you can see like you can place like any other 4 names there. Like there is Dre and Zane in that one, and I think the week before there's Nintunist, and then there's Milk. I think he's a Wario player.
Yeah, he actually he gets 2nd at the Arcadian or won the Arcadian.
I think he got 2nd or 3rd, and then there's that Jewel, the Robin, who's pretty sick.
Yep.
Mad good man.
But let's see what else we got here. So while we're still in New York, there was a pretty big Aeon tournament this week, which was called Escape from Yoshi's Island. Kind of a cool concept. They got a lot of Yoshis up in Long Island, and
oh man,
yeah, dude, and actually,
Button Central.
Yeah,
I think Hangman once called Long Island Jurassic Park, which is really
that's actually pretty good. And
for the longest time in this is kind of a tangent, but on Yoshi's, South Jersey used to have like 5 like pretty solid mid-level Yoshis at a time back in like 2015.
Oh yeah, dude, like Spelunk was there.
Spelunk,
Black
Super Yoshi.
You're Super Yoshi, not Black Yoshi.
Yeah. He's a TO now down at Rowan, but yeah, he's pretty solid Yoshi. This guy named Duraz, who's a salty joystick player, pretty solid Yoshi. So there's a decent amount of good Yoshi players down there.
So you're going to see, though, in Escape from Yoshi's Island, with the results that are on the screen now, actually Suarez and Raptor, both Yoshi mains, taking 5th and 7th, taking out people, like losing who you'd expect them to lose to. It looks like collectively they lost to Vinny, Anti, and DeBuzz. But aside from
but Suarez did beat Mr. E, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Mr. E's sitting there at 9th, and Mr. E's actually been kind of running stuff in New York. He's been winning some Xenos. He's been coming in at Aeons. Dude's good. Like he's top 50 for a reason, PGR. So actually not escaping from Yoshi's Island this time around. And we do get to see some New England representation with Light, who Light comes out to New York tournaments. Looks like he was there by himself this time, though. I didn't even see any other.
Is Mojo Rising? Is he from New England?
I have no idea, but usually his carpool doesn't always place as well as he does. So
yeah.
Okay.
There's also Sohn. I think he's an Ike from upstate.
Yeah, he's from somewhere on the island. I think he might be from the island. I'm not totally sure.
Oh, okay.
New York
I'm
fucking big, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking this San S-A-N is his tag.
San,
he's
yeah.
Yeah.
But Ike mains, am I right? Oh, before we move on from shout to Yoshi's Island, I want to give a shout out to my friend Okami, who made the trophies for the event, which were painted Yoshi amiibos that looked really cool.
Dude, if there's one thing Aeon does, they have really, really cool stuff like that. Like the trailer for this tournament was pretty fun. It was kind of weird because like one of those auto readers reading a script, but like the actual script was kind of funny. Like it sounded like a little like dark and cryptic and stuff, talking about like how Long Island is like Jurassic Park.
Was it like a Microsoft Sam?
It kind of was. It sort of was. It was weird. It's probably on the Smash UG page. I'll see if I can find it in a minute. But like,
it's an Alexa talking about Yoshi.
Dude, it was kind of like that. But in either case, it was still pretty cool. And then I see the tournament like even Anti showed up, which is pretty fun. He got 3rd.
Yeah, I think he lives on.
He's from Long Island. So.
Is he? Okay, so then that's good. It's good that he.
Does he still live there, or is he in the city?
No,
I've seen him at Xeno a couple times.
Yeah, he actually hates going to Xeno because he hates driving in the city. So
that's respect. That's fair.
I feel that, but I'm pretty sure he lives on the island. So.
But
Yeah,
yes,
this event looked like a lot of fun, and like I said, Aeon's a great venue. They have a great team of people working there. Again, shout out to Hangman, who's like super involved with the Long Island scene. Like I said, if the Cross Bronx wasn't just such a nightmare to commute on, I'd go to there more often. But I'm not trying to have my soul rot away sitting on the Throg's neck.
one thing I'd like to point out is that this tournament did pretty well attendance-wise, and it was marketed pretty well. Hold on, how much did the bracket have here? Let me check that out. I think it was somewhere in the 80s or 90s. It was, I'm sorry, 72 players, which is a pretty great turnout at this stage in the game. With Scarlet Smackdown having 91, and then there was actually another big tournament on the same day. This is all the same day, by the way. Same day, same weekend, same everything. With all these attendees, is Philly also had an Arcadian, which had like 44 people in it. So anytime you tell me that one event's stealing from the other when they're in like different states, I'm not going to believe you, because I do believe that the pool of players are out there, that the interested parties are out there, and I don't want to jump ahead to the next topic, as Koopa was a little teased by it earlier with like the send-off events for Smash 4 and like scheduling moving forward. But the players are out there, man, and they're showing up in the brackets, because I'm about to pull up this Philly Arcadian bracket real quick, which was also pretty sizable, man. Like a lot of people playing Smash this weekend.
Yeah, shout outs to the homeboy Dilla for coming through.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
Finally has
some
a
of that-
breakthrough.
Yeah, man.
Winning that Arcadian, winning it over JRX, your local Mega Man main in Philly. Great dude.
Yeah, shout out to Junior, man. He's been doing really, really well, like both Arcadian and non-Arcadian lately.
Yeah, he has.
He's such a nice kid, and I'm so happy for him.
He really has. And then Expand Dong, I want to give him a shout out, because like he's been playing pretty well. Like I've even seen him pop up on some of the PSS brackets, like maybe like 9th or 13th or something like that. He's actually a friend of Red Burpo's. He's like of that younger crowd of players who have been going to the meme squad.
He's Paz's son.
Dude, exactly. Coming out though, like Expand Dong, he's actually like a Donkey Kong main. Like it's great.
I think he got 3rd or 4th of their last Arcadian too.
Yeah, he's good, man. I feel like he's the type of person who will sneak you if you're not careful, and you live in the state of New Jersey. But outside of that, we'll see shout outs to Mr. M coming in at 7th, and the retired PG Dom also coming out of retirement just for a day, just to get 7th at the Arcadian. Even Moosh got in there, looking like Moosh got 9th. This looked like a pretty fun Arcadian, yeah. It was a good
Not
one.
just TO, man.
Yeah,
Trying
dude.
to win his own event.
I like that.
Chris, when are you gonna get?
You gotta get back on the sticks, man.
Yeah, dude, I really do. Unfortunately, I might be pushing a lot for like content and schedules and stuff for the scene, but I am definitely I'm waiting till Ultimate bandwagon to play the game again. Admittedly, so I'm a little sorry to say, a little embarrassed to say.
The real reason is that you want to keep that 1-0 on Jackal. That's the only reason.
That's true, man. I got a winning record on Jackal, so I'm basically like almost like second best player in the world, because Jackal beat second player, yeah, or first best player, whatever the case is. I'm dropping that argument right now, but you get it.
Jackal, nice.
Just Inuit logic.
Yeah, exactly.
All we're missing is a samurai sword.
But yeah, so outside of that, Philly, nothing really else unusual. Juice back to being on top at Dares. No surprise there.
Water's wet.
Yep, Dark Matter looking like a regular at Bears, by the way. He did get 5th this week, but he's been there, I think, like the past month.
How deep central or south is he that he can like feasibly go to that?
So that's the thing, dude. Philly's pretty close to New Jersey, because even Burpo was there, and there he is, Burpo getting 4th place there, and Spelunk, who technically lives in South Jersey.
The thing with Bears, it's about half an hour, 45 minutes north of Philly, so it's a lot of the players that are quote Philly aren't actually from the city. I know Juice is. I think Six and his brother are. Wawa Pizza, I think, is actually from Philly, but a lot of the players are just from like the suburban surrounding regions, like north of Philly.
Yeah, they're most of them from the Bay Area. So
yeah,
like
a lot closer to
Bethlehem,
the river.
Allentown, Easton, all that stuff.
Yeah, like out towards where Smash Quest is hosted. That's where, because I know like Big Dick Billy is from Allentown.
Yep.
So that's where a lot of their player base comes from. So it's actually not too bad of a drive for Central Jersey players, because it's more like a horizontal line kind of. That they have to take instead of like a diagonal south towards the city. So like Law and Dark Matter, Jack, if they ever want to go out there, and they do, it's not too bad of a drive for them actually.
Yeah, man, it's a good crossover, and I do want to give a shout out to Abs, who is someone that we've seen actually kind of do pretty well at Arcadian after Arcadian. I can't remember. Maybe he won the last Philly Arcadian. Does that sound right?
The last one was Enzo.
All right, but
I don't think they let Abs enter that.
okay,
one.
yeah, I can't remember because Abs, he is pretty good, as you can see here. He's clearly good. He was only double eliminated by Juice. Outside of that, had a pretty good run. Why Do Bad Things coming in 5th after winning his first Bears like a couple weeks ago. Philly's starting to get a little interesting as far as I'm concerned. Bounty coming in with a solid 7th. Yoda Cage also winning like his first Bears a couple weeks ago in 7th.
Yeah, a lot of them are improving like really quickly. Like I used to always meme on Philly, but they're getting a lot better really quick.
Yeah, dude, join the club. Everyone memes on Philly, but like say what you will, dude. And I know maybe their local isn't quite as big as Xeno. I'd say Bears is probably one of the best locals around too, even from like an organic sense, man. They do such a good job over there.
Yeah, like, their venue is really nice.
It's always consistent. Like you can count on a good experience all around.
And like I even think back to like before like Tweak and everybody moved, but like Tweak would frequent Bears every now and then too. Like that tournament's like really picked up in production and also like has been very consistent in entrance and just community presence.
Yeah, dude, the people show up there and it's really good. Moosh has done a pretty good job with the actual physical place and making that sustain itself. Like, pretty good local as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that new venue, the one that they're currently in, it's actually up the street from the old one, so it's like basically the same place. It's in the same town, and it's actually a lot better parking wise because there's actual parking lots around the venue this time. Because I went to the old one before, and I've been to the new one, and it's so much better than the new one.
Yeah, man, I've heard it looks a lot better too in the pictures. But with all of that stuff on Philly and with some events coming up, I do want to shift the conversation to the fact that this is our final season of Smash 4. I know a lot of the excitement is like, wow, I can't believe Smash Ultimate is here in 50 days or whatever the case is. But, like, I don't think people are being like, wow, I can't believe Wii U is totally dead in 50 days. Because that's what's going on. And there are more send-off events for Smash 4. Just as many as you'd probably imagine. And it actually did sort of alter some of the schedule in New Jersey, based off of what I had originally planned, not really expecting that many people to host send-off events. But that's the reason I wanted to bring this up as a topic, because the schedule has seen a little bit of change, but it is concrete now moving forward. So if you're a local, this is definitely a good section to pay attention to if you're a local in New Jersey, because if you check the events tab underneath the stream or even just the New Jersey calendar, it's going to be linked either in the YouTube description or just underneath Twitch if you're watching on Twitch, however you're watching it. You'll see the final schedule there, and it does include a couple send-off events. This month you're going to see Prism, which is like the 7th Prism after like after 7-month hiatus or whatever the case is.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I know it's been 7 months. I can't remember what number Prism it is though. But in either case, that's basically going to be their Smash 4 send-off. In light of that, I was going to have another monthly, the new monthly for MHG that is going to be pushed off until next month, which will be the day after Anomaly, which is going to be 3rd day's Smash 4 send-off. But before I get to that, there's going to be a little bit more creativity in some of the schedule moving forward, because as we can see, even the end of Smash 4 yielding a ton of events, you could only imagine that Smash Ultimate is the calendar's going to book up quick. And people are going to be a little intimidated in terms of like hosting events and who's going to be there, who's hosting on the same days. And why I brought up earlier, tournaments can exist on the same days in different areas and still be successful both in their own right, or if it's more than two. But so what I want to do is I want to segue into something that if you've been paying attention to a lot of our social media, you've already seen it pop up. But there is going to be a new tournament that is going to fall on the same day as New England's Smash 4 send-off event in Koopa. I believe you're going to be there, which is going to be Overclocked.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be November 17th. And before we get into Overclocked, I do want to announce this event. I know Crownless is licking his chaps right now in the chat. I don't have a slide for it, but I do have a Smash GG for it, and it's going to be smash.gg /Crownless is the URL. This is actually going to be an Arcadian. We're going to be hosting an Arcadian, and it's going to be Crownless themed, and this is kind of like an exploratory venture for us, as it's like it's not quite a Smash 4 send-off event. It's more of like a, hey, let's try and theme lesser events off of community members and see how people dig it and if they like it. And I got to tell you, already putting this one together, it's been a lot of fun. And
Dude,
This is so
ultimate icon of Crownless is godly.
yeah, man, that was really fun to put together. It's a combination of Mario, Ryu, Villager, Roy, and there might be one more I'm forgetting.
That's actually really funny.
But like in either case, I am gonna run this on the same day as Overclocked. Not because I'm trying to compete, but mostly because I'm trying to have a cool local event while encouraging a lot of the PR players who would not be allowed to enter an Arcadian in the first place to otherwise travel to Overclocked. So this is kind of good for your local draw, just kind of like your guys looking to play on the weekend in New Jersey, trying to look to get together. Arcadians usually do pretty well in this area. And then Overclocked is going to kind of be like your major event, so to speak. It's going to be the regional where you might see some New Jersey travel. You're going to see Koopa. I know you're going. I don't know if you're bringing a carpool or not.
Oh, I'm bringing a carpool, baby.
There we go.
And we're all going to get ninth place.
I was curious. I was wondering if maybe like is Jackal going? Like I know that
yes.
I thought so.
Out of the players players that matter that I'm bringing with me, I'm bringing Jackal, Unknown, and Are Hungry.
Right, which are 3 PR
and
contenders.
So,
that's pretty cool. So right there, right? So like you have like the PR squad in New Jersey, kind of like Team New Jersey. They are going to play in a tournament out of region technically, unless you say it's real Tristate, which includes Connecticut. But I'm just bringing this up again. I'm not going to have the argument. It's just for the lulz, I guess, at this point.
Triggered.
Yeah, but like in either case, so you have those guys traveling up north, and then again you'll have the local draw players who might not travel that far just to like either go 0-2 or 1-2 or might just not want to take a big trip. They have a nice local Arcadian to attend. So this is sort of like something I wanted to try out where it's like you could have 2 events in 2 regions and still encourage the players in your regions to go to the other events. And I kind of think that this is a format that if like regions work together, you could kind of plan for. I sort of do it mostly because I pay very close attention to the schedule, even the schedule outside of New Jersey. And plus it's just helpful for everyone, myself included, just ensuring you're going to get like the right kind of event. So this is going to be a fun experiment for me. We'll see how both events do. I have no doubt that Overclocked is going to do great. It's going to have that young House of 3000 stream. I'm sure it's going to have some of our guys going.
And the venue that it's hosted in is probably one of my favorite venues ever. The balance it's a balance patch. It's a LAN cafe, and it's like one of the nicest venues I've ever been to. Like for a small like regional event like that, it's got everything.
That sounds great.
It's got a kitchen staff. It has those like soundproof rooms for MOBAs. It's got DX racers and Fortnite. It's just like
so good, man. That's the dream.
There's a Raising Cane's down the street, which is wildly like disappointing.
They have Cane's there?
Yeah, not impressed.
But
I've had Zaxby's down in North Carolina.
Oh, Zaxby's is busted.
People are like, oh, Cane's is better. I'm like, I've never had Cane's, so
I didn't know
they had any up there.
If your chicken has to be carried by the sauce, you're trash.
That's actually true.
So good,
dude. So we'll have to have Hazmat on for that episode after.
Yeah, I guess. What? Who said that?
But I guess on a final note of the final season of Wii U, I do want to make note. I already mentioned that what was supposed to be a new monthly in Stock Advantage is going to see some rebranding for Ultimate, but the overall idea of being every last Sunday of the month is still going to be there, and there is going to be one more of those events before we change it for Ultimate. This is going to be the first monthly, by the way, of this codenamed Stock Advantage for now. That's going to be actually the day after Let's Make Moves, and there's going to be plenty more details on that to follow. That's not going to be emphasis right now, but there is going to be an event before that, the month before, which is coming after the day after Anomaly, which is once again third day's Smash 4 send-off. And the idea is even though they're kind of geographically close and they both have Smash 4. This second Stock Advantage is going to be a little bit more focused on gaming in general. It's going to have Smash brackets, and it's still going to have a nice stream and everything like that, and it's still going to be open. But there's going to be a lot of other stuff there. Actually, Team 1UP'em, who is some of the organizers we work with on the event, has a very big retro gaming draw. So we'll see a lot of retro games there, some arcade cabinets, all kinds of like just fun stuff in terms of just like kind of gaming lounge and hanging out. So that's going to be the last Sunday of November, which is November 25th. So this is again kind of designed to be a little bit more of like an experimental event.
Real quick, is that the week of Thanksgiving, or am I out of my mind? No, it's not. It's the week before. Never mind.
Yeah, it's the week before.
Wait, the 24th or 17th?
No, the 17th. Never mind.
I'm an
idiot. Never mind.
No, you're good. But yeah, so that's kind of like what the final season of Smash 4 is looking like. And then basically the last event on or the last PR eligible event of the season is going to be Fireside in Rutgers, December 1st, which is a week before the new game comes out. So,
man,
yeah,
I do.
Yeah, dude, the season.
I think at some point we're gonna have a proper like state of the state address and kind of like address everything going forward with Ultimate. But I think that's a good way to like kind of even things out.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to look at it bird's eye view now. I actually think that could make for a good topic next week, perhaps, or even some of the weeks moving forward, just the structure moving forward. I know I personally have a lot of plans, but I can't speak for everyone. There's a big state, a lot of people doing Smash content now, Smash events. But, yeah, so there is some structure in my mind. I'm not going to get into detail into that right now because we're pretty much at the end of the show.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, obviously, like, moving forward into the Twilight. Like I said, it's been crazy. Not only that, it's been crazy since like the initial game was announced back in March, but the fact that like 4 years has flown by so fast, like it's fucking crazy.
Oh, and I don't know how I forget to mention this, but speaking of Smash 4 send-off events, the MHG Awards.
Oh, well, you look at that.
I totally forgot to plug my own biggest event.
Way to go! Proud of you.
Yeah, this is the actual send off for Master Hand. As I mentioned, all the events after this, which is going to be the Crownless Starcadian and the other stock advantage, which is going to be a lot of retro gaming. Like this is going to be like the last pure Smash 4 event that I have involvement with outside of Fireside, which is technically not a Smash 4 only event, anyways. But yeah, this is looking like a lot of fun. And if you haven't been keeping up with it, just go back and look through our Twitter or look through Mr. M's Twitter, which is @PikachuRTM, and you'll be pretty well familiar with that pretty quickly.
I will be wearing a tie, maybe.
Bolo tie or a bow tie?
A bolo.
No, my God. What am I? What am I, a principal in a school in Texas?
I was just going to say, yeah, we got to be...
Phillip Rivers, the quarterback for the Chargers, wears a bolo tie.
Oh, my God. It looks so dumb.
And he also has 7 kids. Phillip Rivers is an insane person. He commutes from San Diego to fucking L.A. every day. He's a crazy,
yeah, L.A. for work.
He's a fucking madman.
It's crazy, man. But, all right. Well, I guess that's it. That's it from me. Per usual... if
I was gonna say, Kristen, we did actually get one. We did get one question on the Twitter this week. If we want to look at it.
You know what? Let's do it. Let me open that up before we sign out here. Yeah, I was just gonna forego this section because I noticed that like there just wasn't a lot of questions this week. Kind of got thrown together last minute, which has a lot to do with me just being kind of busy. But let's get that question. Let's see here. Tweets and replies. There we go. All right. So go to. Oh wow, there was a. Oh wait, no. These are. Oh, okay. That's funny. That threw me off. I just saw pictures of Diablo controllers. But I was like, wait, what is this? But anyways, yeah. So Goda says, "What's your most anticipated nomination for the awards?" That's a great question, man.
Anything involving me, because I'm petty as shit.
Same.
There's some commentary words. I'm looking forward to seeing what the best set is because there's a lot of like hidden best sets there, and I saw some best sets that were like had nothing to do, like not that they had nothing to do, but like I thought it was kind of funny some of the nominations. It was like kind of MHG centric, and then a lot of people saying they missed the Loft, and I'm just like I don't think any members of the Loft have ever been on the MHG stream.
Yeah,
like ever.
Plus, a lot of people saying the Loft were like, were you friends with them? I know Riz said Keitaro. But I feel like Riz is friends with Keitaro, so that makes sense.
That makes sense. And plus,
but there's also some merit behind that also.
I think there's definitely merit. It was just kind of funny, but in either case, like as far as like anticipated nominations go, like even like a set like I mentioned Red Burpo versus Snaky, which was just like it It was at an ECG, an East Coast Gamers. It was like the snowstorm event we had, which had like an
Coastal
insane amount of people.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, it was
God.
crazy. The whole venue like lit up. Dude, Philly was there. Maybe even some in New York. I can't remember, but definitely a lot of Philly. And Snakey was there.
That was before I started going to things, and that was also when Burpo changed his tag from Bill Nye to Burpo.
Yeah, that was a fresh change, dude. He was still Bill Nye. But anyways, it was just like a round 2 match, and Burpo ends up clutching out like a game 3, like last hit set, and everyone just goes like ape shit.
I gotta watch this.
It was pretty great, man. And it's
I've watched it too.
It's fun for me to go back and look at just like the stream quality and just the presentation. It's so funny how much things change. This award show is actually I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's a pretty good idea. It wasn't even mine, but I really appreciate it for sure. Shout out to Mr. M. But let's see. Question specifically for James, who is specifically not here. I heard you were trying out Pro Controllers. What's your opinion of Power A's new wireless Pro Controller with assignable back buttons, and how could you benefit from Smash? I actually didn't even know about this controller. It looks pretty cool.
All right, I have an
official-
opinion.
Is that an official
that's-
Switch licensed Nintendo thing?
No, I think it is because I've seen these in the shelves at like Target and GameStop and stuff. I think
This is
these
cool.
are like official. Because I have some opinions on this because I actually just watched some content on this stuff. It's basically the same as the Pro Controller. Like it has the gyroscope in the back of it and all the HD Rumble stuff, which is cool for third-party controllers. Because I don't think these are technically made by Nintendo. They're like made by like another company or whatever. Like they're made by Power A.
Yeah,
like,
Power A. Yeah.
Yeah, usually they'll be licensed.
I think these things are banned on arrival, and I'm going to tell
Really?
you why. Because those back buttons are going to be way too good. Like it's at like I'm pretty sure it technically counts as like a controller mod where like you have these extra buttons that other controllers don't have.
Yeah,
at
that's
their
what I'm
disposal.
thinking. Like those back buttons kind of are odd and in an odd place. For
Well,
me,
these
like, right
are
under my fingers.
Xbox One controllers do this. They have like that special edition Xbox controller, which has like 4 other buttons or like 6 other buttons attached to it with like
I don't have
levers
those
and
ones.
stuff like that. That's cool to see that Nintendo's actually like having controllers like this. I don't know though.
Yeah,
like,
they look nice, and I'll probably pick one up if I'm like if money grows on trees and falls in my lap and kills me. But they look cool.
Well, if you notice,
But I don't think they're gonna make it. I think they're gonna get banned on day one. To be honest with you.
Well,
Honestly, the regular Pro Controller, sorry to cut you off,
No,
is
go ahead.
good enough because they're like even in GameStop. When I went to my local GameStop, I don't know if they'll be different in Jersey or New York or whatever, but I saw some used Pro Controllers in very good condition, like themed Mario, Zelda, whatever, and they were like $25.
Oh, are you talking about the wired ones?
Well, the official Switch Pro Controllers,
Right. Yeah, but like some, I know. Yeah.
Well, they're wired
and
and wireless. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I have a regular Switch Pro Controller too, and it has the charging wire that you could play wired or wireless. So honestly, those are fine enough. The regular Pro Controllers, you don't even need the back buttons.
I just wish these things weren't so fucking expensive.
Yeah,
Like,
just find one used, honestly, because even if it's used at a GameStop, that's more than likely in a pretty decent condition to be usable.
Yeah. Like my quick tangent is that I just picked up Mario Party over the weekend, and I need to pick up another set of Joy-Cons if I want to play with friends, because you need to play with the Joy-Cons like strapped with the shoulder buttons in order to actually play it. So
Well,
so goodbye $70.
The cool part is
tax.
about that is there's a lot of cool looking Joy-Cons out there. So at the very least,
Yeah, I'm definitely getting some Splatoon ones.
yeah,
and
those are very
covers.
sharp.
I think they have Joy-Con covers and stickers and things. So
not all is lost. At least you'll have something kind of tangibly neat.
I like Mario Party, by the way. That's my other quick tangent. Game's fun.
Well, Justy hit you with that young hot take. It's
That's
garbage.
fun.
It's garbage.
I think I think it's fun in person, but definitely I don't see myself playing this for much longer than like once or twice every couple of months.
I haven't played it yet, but I'm gonna at least try it out eventually.
It's fun.
I haven't bought
I
a
played
Switch
worse.
game in a while. Money's kind of tight. I'm saving up to go to Chicago soon.
I hear that. I'm not going to Chicago, but I'm also saving up. Also, Justy's JK. Not about Super Mario Party. Mario Party's fun though.
Yeah, the game's fun. I enjoy it more than I enjoyed 10. That's just me.
I think
'Cause 10 was
I think that's everyone.
Fuck the giant car. I'm sorry.
But okay, right. So I was getting ready to do this like 5 minutes ago. So here's my sign out. if you like this kind of podcast, you think this is cool, sounds good, you're listening to it every now and again, consider giving it a good old thumbs up or giving it a share. Once it's available, it really does go a long way. In theme with tonight's episode, consider that your investment within your scene. And that's kind of it. I'd really appreciate anyone who is keeping up with these. I'm still having a lot of fun with them. Topics will definitely get more refined moving forward. We're looking to do something pretty unique with the seasons moving forward. But, yeah, ML, Koopa, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Please release me from the basement.
Oh, no.
Turn the heat on. It's cold down here.
Yeah, it's that time of the season.
Dude, it's getting cold down here too. It was actually in the 40s last night.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah,
The first time
I turned on the heat last week, so that was kind of strange.
It's actually gonna feel like fall soon for me.
Yikes!
Because it was just like 80 last week. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, shout outs to me being fat, so I'd appreciate the cooler weather. Don't sweat as much.
You don't gotta be fat to appreciate the cool weather, man. I'm very excited for like 40, 50-degree weather personally.
Yeah.
But my mood on weather aside, thank you again for watching, everyone. Be sure to hit those likes, those follows, and talk to us. Talk to us, damn it. Talk to us in the comments. Talk to us in the Discords. Talk to us in the chats. Add us on Twitter.
If you guys got interesting suggestions for topics, just like snowball them at us.
Yeah, like this is a project, man. So it's like you got good topics and you're regularly giving feedback. I'm more than happy to feature anyone. I'm very into like idea sharing and open sharing. So, yep. That being said, you guys have a good night. We are gonna go ahead and host House of 3000. Oh wait, no, we don't. This isn't Wednesday. It's Thursday.
Gotta find Kingdom. Actually, I think Twitch is airing the current NFL game that's on right now.
Oh yeah, so you guys could just go watch the NFL then. That's pretty cool. I'm probably gonna go do that myself. But yeah, next week we might move back to Tuesdays. But stay tuned for a announcement on that.
Or you should host Encore, by the way, before we sign out.
Encore?
Yeah, they're streaming New York, the Westchester local.
Okay, cool. Do you know what their Twitch? Do you know what their Twitch is?
Give me a second. Hold on.
Day too. I think third day. Do they?
No. They're bi-weekly. I don't think they're this week.
Oh, they're bi-weekly. Okay, I didn't know they're bi-weekly actually.
Give me a second. I'm gonna find this really quick.
All right. Well, it's okay. Still find it. I'm gonna end the recording on like a good note, and I'll just stay live. Thanks y'all for watching, and we will catch you next week.